evening. Good to have you with us on this special edition of The Last Word. Tonight, we have the big conversation about what's going on in West Bengal. And as the epicenter of this election politics shifts to West Bengal, what does that really mean for 2019 elections and post-result scenarios? But now, as a consequence of the Election Commission's decision to cut short the campaign time for the last 9 constituencies in West Bengal, what we are seeing is the opposition parties really unite, speak in one voice and rally behind Mamata Banerjee. Now, in the past, numerous attempts have been made and they continue to take place about opposition parties really trying to come together. But the question we are asking tonight is this: as the epicenter shifts to West Bengal, as Mamata Banerjee really emerges as a key and strong challenger, really taking BJP on with her own style of ferocious politics, can she really be the one that the opposition rallies around? Can she really be the one that unites the opposition? I want to just bring up a few comments that have been made today. Let's begin with what the Congress party had to say as they slammed the Election Commission and the BJP. Randeep Surjewala said, "This is an unpardonable betrayal of the Constitution," in response to EC's decision that the campaign time will be cut short and end tonight at 10 p.m. This is what the Congress party had to say. Here's what Chandrababu Naidu has said: "Disturbing to see prompt action on BJP's complaint while there have been pending complaints by the TMC where action hasn't been taken." So he's actually written a detailed statement where he says prompt action on Amit Shah and BJP for India's complaints, but it is what we are also seeing is conveniently ignoring TMC's complaint. In fact, not just this, Chandrababu Naidu has written a very, very hard-hitting letter separately also to the Election Commission just now, where he doesn't just talk about this, he also speaks about the issues within his state and elections that were held there. Let's go on to the next one and tell you what Arvind Kejriwal has to say. EC allowed Modi's rallies, ended campaigning after it. This actually has been a big point by the opposition parties. Why did EC wait for 24 hours only so that Prime Minister Modi could hold his rallies? Was that the reason those extra 24 hours were given? Arvind Kejriwal says that makes it clear that EC is totally biased. Stalin also spoke up on this issue. Of course, DMK is an ally of the UPA. EC has one set of rules for the opposition and another set of the rules for the ruling party. Let's get to some more comments where they've also now in the same breath targeted BJP. P. Chidambaram says, BJP is proving time and again that it has contempt for regional parties, for regional culture, for all things which are restricted to smaller regions. Obviously, he's also speaking about this in reference to the vandalism of the statue in Kolkata, which has now become a big talking point, a big face-off between the BJP and TMC. So this is what P. Chidambaram had to say. Let's go on to RJDM. Tejasvi Yadav now saying Election Commission is behaving like BJP cell. So these are some of the comments. The last one here, Omar Abdullah, he had a long statement to make about how BJP can have a tailor-made campaign designed to fragment and polarize the electorate, how they can go ahead and do what they want, but none of this will really matter because he believes on 23rd, Mamata will sweep West Bengal. So now, keep in mind that in the light of all of these comments has also been Congress party's messaging out there to all political parties that it's not necessary that we want our man to be the Prime Minister as long as we can all come together and unseat the BJP. Let's get straight to the debate and say good evening to our guests. Rohan Gupta, spokesperson for the Congress party, joining me this evening. Vivek Reddy, spokesperson for the BJP. Suranjan Das Gupta, advocate of the High Court. Mr. S.K. Mendiratta, former legal advisor to the Election Commission. Batsa Sen, senior journalist, and Shikha Mukherjee, also a senior journalist. Let me go across to Mr. Mendiratta first, because in all of this politics, Mr. Mendiratta, what is stuck in between and getting slammed by many political parties is the Election Commission. To begin with, there are a lot of experts who are saying that the EC's decision has been a little disappointing. There are others who are saying, why give the 24 additional hours? Some say this was not needed at all. Where do you stand on this debate? What did you make of Election Commission's action last evening?
See, I will confine my comments only with regard to the constitutionality or legality of the action that the Commission has taken. Whether it is a delayed action or whether it should have been taken earlier or why this one day extra has been given, these are all for the Election Commission to give the replies. What I can just say that Article 324 empowers the Election Commission to step in those vacuous areas where the enacted laws do not provide a remedy for meeting a particular situation. Now in this case, you know, there is a particular provision in section 126 of the RPA 1951 which says that there shall be a 48 hours period before a silent period before the close of the poll. Now in this case, if they had waited for that particular period to commence, which was normally to commence tomorrow at 6 p.m., now they thought in their collective wisdom that we cannot wait that long because the situation which was developing in the state of Tamil Nadu, West Bengal was so serious that some urgent measures had to be taken. And the Election Commission has been given this power not in the expressly in Article 324, but by the interpretation of the Supreme Court in a category of cases that where the laws are silent or they are not making any sufficient provision to deal with this situation, then the Election Commission can invoke its plenary and inherent powers to meet that situation. There is a very beautiful observation by the Supreme Court in the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court in MS Gill versus CC. That was a case decided in 78, where they say that in the course of the conduct of elections, if a situation arises for which the legal remedy cannot be found in the enacted laws, then they have said that the election commissioners cannot just fold their hands and look to some divine inspiration. Article 324 gives them the power to deal with that situation. So that is what they have done. And naturally, if they have done, then also they are under criticism. If they had not done, then also they have. But I feel, just one thing, I feel what we call in Urdu or Hindi, देर आए दुरुस्त आए.
बट 24 घंटे और देर आए मिस्टर मेहंदी रत्ता, अगर डिसाइड कर ही लिया था, व्हाई डिडंट दे इम्प्लीमेंट इट फ्रॉम 10 PM last night? I mean, technically, if I am to buy this argument, may I just present my case? If I am to buy this argument that there has been violence, vandalism, that the situation is getting out of control, that there is a law and order issue, you know, or campaigns are being misused, then in that sense, giving 24 hours additional doesn't make sense to me. Why do you think that was done?
No, actually what I feel, see, there is a concept of reasonableness. So I am not defending what they have done, but what I feel, perhaps what may have weighed in their minds, that let us give some prior notice to all parties. It's one thing you must remember. It's a opportunity given not to one party, but to all political parties to go on with their campaigns for the next 24 hours. So that is why they, but one thing more I would just like to add here, because some people are raising why up to 10 PM. There I would like to say that during Mr. Sessions' time, I remember we had issued an order saying that all political rallies, campaigns, etc. will come to an end at 8 PM every day.
Okay.
Then that, and loudspeakers will not be used thereafter. Then that decision was, that order of the Election Commission was challenged before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said no, this is a right direction that you stop the campaigning, but they extended the period from 8 PM to 10 PM. They said let the public meetings and loudspeaker use may be continued up to 10 p.m. I am not sure whether this may have been the influential factor for the election commission to go up to 10 p.m. I am not sure what
Okay.
they
So
considered or decided.
Okay, I'll take your point. Let me go across to Suranjan Das Gupta, advocate with the High Court in Kolkata. Mr. Das Gupta, so here is what the former legal advisor to EC has to say, that the legal provisions are there for Election Commission to take this decision. So they have all the powers to, and plus if the 24 hours have been given, they have been given to all political parties. Then do you think it's fair for anybody to question the Election Commission or say it's being biased?
Yes, I again repeat one thing, that the Election Commission under Article 324 has invoked his extraordinary powers, has the superintendent's power over even to the election to the President of India or to the Vice President of India or to the Lok Sabha or even to the legislature, that is the Vidhan Sabha. That is not a point, but what prompted them, maybe they felt that the law and order was going from bad to worse. That's why they have done it. I say that is not, it is done within the framework, within the ambit of the Constitution. But I thought that it was not ethical to do so. It is not ethical, and I should say it's undemocratic. At least all the political parties could have been consulted before taking this decision. Whether it matters to all the parties, everyone has to suffer. I understand. But in a democratic norm, why the state of West Bengal will be isolated, will be deprived of a full day campaign? And yes, the Election Commission has the supervising power. It is there to check the law and order and to see that no unrest takes place. That is totally the propriety and the prerogative of the Election Commission. I don't say it's unconstitutional, but it's definitely unethical and undemocratic. They should have been consulted, all the political parties.
Okay, but the political parties were busy fighting, clashing, vandalizing, embroiled in a war of words. Where was the time to sit and consult any of them, especially when they are actually part of the whole problem which we were witnessing unfold in West Bengal? But let me take it across to Rohan Gupta, spokesperson of the Congress party, because several opposition parties have also come out and backed Mamata Banerjee on this. Mr. Das Gupta, I'll come back to you. Rohan Gupta, I don't know if you saw, but through the evening, Mamata Banerjee was actually on this march. I believe she walked for 22 kilometers. She had a Padyatra which was almost 22 kilometers long, started from the outskirts from Behala all the way into the city, and she just walked for almost 6 hours straight. So, at the end of the day, if Prime Minister Modi was holding rallies, she was holding her Padyatra, can we really say that the action only blocked one side and allowed the other side to campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. EC's decision today is really unfortunate and undemocratic. If EC's intention would have been good, they wouldn't have allowed Mr. Modi's rally today. And if you see his program, official program, the rallies were starting at 6 in the evening and time is up to 10 in the night. So obviously EC cannot cancel Mr. Modi's rally. So rather than starting, if EC's argument was right, then law and order situation in Bengal is not good. They should have started the ruling from the 5 p.m. in the evening. Why 10 p.m. in night? Because they had to accommodate Mr. Modi's rally. As far as Padyatra is concerned, as per EC's rule, when you don't campaign with loudspeaker and with other things and rallies and all, Padyatra anybody can do. Last 2 days also you can do Padyatra, so there is nothing wrong.
No,
the
I'm
point
not
here
there
is
is
the way
wrong.
Mr. Modi and his government are taking benefit of...
That is not correct.
No, I'm not saying
so
there is anything
is,
wrong, but effectively, if she is walking through the streets, if she is walking through the streets of Kolkata, and if she has this huge crowd, isn't it like a road show but on your feet? Now, nobody is stopping Mamata Banerjee from doing that. So how can we say that EC's decision is one-sided?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is people's voice.
How is that people's voice, but Modi having a rally not people's voice?
Information is the basis of true knowledge.
That's what I'm saying. Absolutely. No permission is given. No permission to the programs are given today except Mr. Modi's rally. You can check. And why the EC ban starts at 10 p.m. in night? This is surprising. This has never happened in the history of Indian democracy that EC gives a ruling following Mr. PM's program. This is really unfortunate. I had no issue if it had started at 5 p.m. in the evening and they would have cancelled Mr. Modi's program. Then at least there should have been some logic in that decision.
But do you
As
think...
you have rightly told in the beginning, when situation is so bad, the first critical 24 hours are most critical. Why you are allowing political rallies today and not allowing them
yes,
tomorrow?
and I completely,
this is unfortunate.
I completely stand by that fact.
And people of West Bengal, as
Correct.
far as Vidyasagarji's statue is concerned, absolutely.
Okay, so now I have one question for you, Mr. Gupta.
The people of Bengal, they are going to take revenge from BJP.
I have one question for you. Do you really believe that one rally of Prime Minister Modi can change things? Why is it such a big issue?
This is a desperate, that's what, you are right. It's a desperate measure by Mr. Modi and company. They know that they are losing badly. They have seen that Vidyasagarji's statue demolition issue is going against BJP. They never wanted to give other parties to, take the issue to people. They are shattered. Their desperation is visible. That's why they came out with this thing. Yesterday night the decision is taken, and if they are so true, today's PM program shouldn't have been allowed by EC. Then the people would have believed in their decision that they have taken it in right spirit. Absolutely there is no spirit.
Okay, Mr. Reddy, do you want to respond to what all the opposition parties have been saying, especially in the light of the fact that the only, clear visuals we have of all the violence and the vandalism do show a lot of saffron-clad people who perhaps could be BJP supporters. There's very little evidence to suggest that TMC was the one who started it all.
Well, Tanvi, there are two issues here, and I'd like to develop my argument and contentions based on two issues. One is the wisdom of the Election Commission in clamping this restriction. As everybody is aware amongst our panelists and the viewers, I think West Bengal had been developing a culture of violence, particularly in this election, and that too by the TMC goons and ruffians. And this is taken, the media has reported about it, the newspapers have reported about it, and it has become common knowledge and it is universally acknowledged. So this is a given situation. Now, to what scale was it? It was to a scale where it put the entire democratic process to a shame. It was a farce. To that extent, we saw gun-wielding people at the booths. We saw threats being given to voters. We saw murders. And who was the instigator and author of this? It was the TMC. So therefore, the Election Commission had to take a decision. And I think the decision is proper. I think the decision is delayed. And I think the decision is too soft. Now, so far as the timing is concerned, it is so clear that so far as the timing issue is concerned, the election stops at 5 p.m. if it is before 48 hours. It stops at 5 p.m. if it is before 48 hours. Now, if you want to prepone the stopping, you have to stop it at a particular point of time in the day. And what time does it stop on a previous day?
Well, it
Kindly listen to me, sir.
5
Please have the
PM.
patience to listen. It has to
After
stop
Modi's
at the
rally.
point when it ends on that day.
No, it
Suppose
always...
it has to stop today.
Campaigning
16.
always ends at 5
It has to
PM.
stop at the point when it ends today. That is 10 p.m.
Campaigning...
Campaigning
by
ends
rule
every day the
ends-
campaigning ends at 10 p.m.
Yes, but
Come
before
on.
the model code of
Every day
conduct
the
comes
campaigning
into
ends at
place,
10 p.m. Tanvi.
before
This
that
is on record.
constitution,
Every
it's not
day.
about being on record, Mr. Vivek Reddy.
Every
You
day.
also know it.
This is totally
Before
false.
a
Only if it is
constituency
before
goes to
48
vote,
hours.
2 days before that,
Totally
exactly,
false.
Kindly
48
listen.
hours before the
If it is
polling
before
ends,
48 hours,
the campaigning has
If
to
it is
end.
before 48 hours, it ends at 5 p.m.
Correct.
If it is before, if it is the
5,
previous
it is 6
day,
PM.
that is on the
It's 6
16th,
PM.
it ends at 10 p.m.
Okay, so that is
Therefore, it
Vivek
has said,
Reddy's
The
response.
Election Commission has said,
Okay, I want
let
to-
it
I
end
want
at
to-
10 p.m. on 16th. What
These
is
are the
wrong?
internal
Correct.
rules of BJP.
Okay, so we can go on and on about whether 5 p.m. or 10 p.m. and frankly, I don't think that's going to make a larger impact on the way these elections will pan out. So let's
No,
just
on
move a
16th
little
it ends
ahead
at 10
and
p.m.
have
So
a,
what I'm saying is,
larger
the Election Commission
conversation.
has used that yardstick.
Before I
Why
move on to
complain?
the larger conversation, Mr. Dasgupta wanted to respond. We have a bit of a delicate technical line with him. Mr. Dasgupta, go ahead now. We'll be able to hear you better now. Go ahead. Okay, we seem to have lost that line, so I'll go to that in just a bit. But let me bring in our experts who've been with us through this election season, discussing the way things are panning out. And like I said at the beginning of this show, I want to really focus on what this means as an impact on national level politics at this juncture. What we are seeing in West Bengal, the way opposition is now coming and rallying behind Mamata Banerjee. Bacha Sen, do you think that this perhaps could be a turning point, or will all of this be forgotten by May 23rd and then new equations will be created? Mr. Sen, the question is to you.
Sorry, yeah. Tanvi, let us just take a look, broad overview of the situation. We have, on the one hand, there is an election commission. And on the other hand, there are two sets of parties. The BJP, which is ruling in the center and its allies, and the TMC, which is ruling in Bengal, but is in opposition at the center. So let us say that there is a ruling party at the center and opposition parties around. I am now not going to make any comments on the BJP and the parties. I am just focusing first on the election commission. So I would request Mr. Gupta, Mr. Reddy, anyone spokesman of the party, that I am not saying anything against their parties for the moment. The election commission, throughout this, since the beginning of this election process, has behaved in a very, very wishy-washy fashion to begin with. I mean, it's almost as if it's invented a new dance form called the election commission shuffle. It shuffles this way, it shuffles that way. In April, if you recall, the Supreme Court had to reprimand it, or admonish it, and had to push it to take action against various leaders, I won't name them, who had perhaps violated the model code of conduct by their utterances. At that point of time, I recall that the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of India, asked the Election Commission, saying that, are you saying you are toothless? And more or less the Election Commission agreed that they were toothless because they couldn't take action against single leaders for saying some stuff which was against the model code of conduct. Even that they couldn't do in the month of April, until the Supreme Court egged them on to do it. Now, all of a sudden, the Election Commission has suddenly found its teeth, its spine, its backbone. It's finally discovered that it actually has powers to do very drastic things, not just ask leaders to keep quiet for 72 hours or 48 hours. It can get all the leaders to shut up well before the polling day, even before the normal rules and regulations of elections. So if it could do this, such a drastic thing as it's done now, I do not understand why they were shuffling around in April. That is a question that is why people have begun doubting this election commission. They behave one way at the beginning and suddenly they show their teeth at the end. So it seems to me, you can come on this after I finished. I requested you, I have not said
Yes, go ahead,
I have not said a word about the political parties, Tanvi.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I am saying that basically the election commission has exposed its, to some extent, its lack of spine, lack of teeth at the beginning, and to some extent suddenly overreacted now. And that's basically what I would like to say as of now.
Okay. Shikha Mukherjee hasn't spoken yet, so let's go across to her and ask her, since we are on the Election Commission's point, Shikha Mukherjee, there have been various examples that have been cited, right from Prime Minister Modi's series of speeches where Congress went and made complaints. First, Election Commission didn't act. When they were pulled up by the court, they went back and they gave clean chits. Similarly, for Amit Shah, there have been complaints about how action was delayed in the Faridabad case, action was delayed, when it came to Pragya Thakur and several other instances. Do you think there is merit to this charge then, that the EC has been, repeatedly letting people down?
I think there is a lot of merit in it, because if you look at how the EC has behaved, which is that advisories have been issued by the EC, say regarding the advisory which says that references to the armed forces, references to security as a national issue, all of these need to be kept under check and they should not be deployed during the election. Things that they should not be used in election campaign material, etc. It has been flouted. The EC has been perfectly inadequate in curbing the use of any of these things as campaign material, and the offender has been the Bharatiya Janata Party. So it would seem that the EC has found itself in the absolutely embarrassing position of not being able to keep the ruling party at the center under check. And therefore, its sudden move to discipline all the parties in West Bengal, depriving them of 24 hours of campaigning time, is an indication that the EC somewhere along the line seems to feel that this is its last and final opportunity to do something which suggests that it has the capacity to exert some kind of control over the way in which political parties behave during an election process. But unfortunately, that is on the last day of the 7-stage elections, and that seems a bit pathetic.
Yes, you know, in fact, that's while Vivek Reddy was speaking and he listed out all the things that have been happening during election season in Bengal. You know, I kind of agree with him, and then I would say that exactly why this decision, perhaps, if had to be taken, should have been taken a lot earlier rather than now. But okay, that decision has been done. Let's look at what the impact of that has been now, and I'll move to the second part of this debate and this conversation, which is to say that BSP, SP, Congress Party, National Conference, RJD, TDP, DMK, they've all now come out and rallied behind Mamata Banerjee. Simultaneously, one very interesting thing that has been happening is the kind of messaging we've seen from the Congress Party. So we had Mr. Chidambaram speak to us a few days ago, and he said that, well, the priority is to unseat the BJP. Congress candidate being the Prime Minister is not really the priority, it's not necessary. Today, Ghulam Nabi Azad has come and said that we are given to understand that Sonia Gandhi is now reaching out to all political parties to say, let's meet either on 21st or 22nd and get together and see how we can, you know, formulate a front. In the light of what is happening in Bengal, Shikha Mukherjee, do you think we could look at a situation where Mamata Banerjee actually becomes the key challenger and Congress rallies everybody together to form that kind of a front to take on the BJP? Shikha Mukherjee.
So that is something that Mamata Banerjee herself is not willing to commit to, and therefore it's a bit difficult to assess. But I can say this much, that if you look at the way in which the BJP has taken on Mamata Banerjee, the way in which Mr. Modi, you know, it's surprising. Mr. Modi has held 17 rallies in West Bengal for 42 seats. In Uttar Pradesh, it has held. Mr. Modi has held something like 30 odd rallies.
Yes, this is only second to Uttar Pradesh. Yeah,
this is huge. In other words, battleground for this election is West Bengal. And this is a crucial place for, and the reason is very simple, that as you very correctly pointed out, Mamata represents the consolidation and the increasing coordination amongst the anti-BJP opposition parties. And she also represents, in very loud and clear terms, the voice of the regional parties in determining what shall be the formation of the government at the center should the BJP lose. And the voice of the regional parties has to be taken at par with that of national parties. That is the message that you're getting. Also, one needs to keep in mind that the BJP has pitted its hopes on West Bengal that it will pick up a large number of seats to compensate for the losses that it is inevitably going to suffer in Uttar Pradesh. Therefore, West Bengal has emerged over a period of time as the challenger to the BJP, both for the fact that it is Mamata represents the consolidation of the anti-BJP opposition parties. It is the voice of the regional parties and the sort of new role that they're looking to play in the formation of a government at the center.
Right.
And third is that for the BJP, West Bengal is critical if it wants to make up for its losses in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, I believe Mr. Dasgupta wants to come in and make a point. Go ahead, Mr. Dasgupta.
Yeah, the fact is everything is very clear. The vandalism which took place in Kolkata day before yesterday, it is that's an integral part, and it is hurting the Bengali sentiments because Ishwar Vidyasagar's statue or the bust has been desecrated by hooligans, and the Bengal has not taken it in the right stride. So whoever who has done it should be exemplarily punished, and definitely Mamata Banerjee is the main leader of the opposition who is bent on making if the UPA comes, definitely she'll have a main instrumental role in forming the allies and everyone together to form the front to out BJP from the ruling as a ruling party. So she has done a lot of homework, and she's very hardworking, meticulous, and basically, as far as she is concerned, her honesty can never be questioned because of her untiring efforts and she has built the party on her own and through her simplicity. Maybe there could be some loopholes. It is there in every party.
Well,
but definitely, she's the main factor to decide who will.
Loophole.
Okay.
You call it
who will
loophole.
gain seat in the.
Mr. Dasgupta, are you blind or cockeyed? Is that a loophole? Inducing arson, violence, loot? Is that a loophole? Is that a loophole? What sort of a cockeyed view is this?
This is all done by BJP.
I'm very sad to
This
say,
is all done by BJP.
you have
Go.
completely ignored
Bengal will
the
not
sort
leave
of
you.
violence
Bengal
and
won't
inflammation
leave
and
you.
outrageous things she has done.
I can't
sorry.
understand anybody.
Mamata Banerjee,
Okay, I can't understand
is a
anyone.
synonym for
One
violence
at a
today
time, one at a
in West
time,
Bengal.
please. One at
The
a time.
whole India hangs its head.
Vivek Reddy.
will come to zero in
Yes.
Bengal.
Should come out.
Yes.
You won't be able to open
And
your account.
you are saying it's a loophole.
मेरे से आधा घंटा
Okay, yes.
No. There could be. There could be.
Let us see
There
that.
has to be
It is for the
plus.
people to
There has to be
decide.
plus.
It is
Yes,
not Sengupta to
yes,
say
Can
that.
I come in?
We are not.
It is for the
God.
people. The people
We are
will
not
turn
God,
Mamata
the
down.
Almighty Divine God.
The people
We are
will
not
teach her a
God.
lesson.
We are
Always
not God.
against tyranny.
BJP
It
goes
is the
on the
people who have
right
woken up.
Almighty
They
divine
will
God.
teach her a lesson.
Well, I will say this.
Almighty divine God.
Point this
And it is
point
high
of time
time
granted to
that is for the good of
1
West
minute,
Bengal.
gentlemen. 1 minute,
It
1
is
minute,
for the
please.
good
Can
of
we
West
stop
Bengal.
yelling over each other? Can we just have a minute of silence here, please? What is the point of yelling at each other? This is exactly what political parties are doing on ground in West Bengal, and then turn around and point fingers at each other in the studio, which is exactly why I didn't want to go down that road for that debate. It's not about blame game anymore. Please, let's not even pretend to do that. Nobody here can hold a higher moral ground when it comes to the way politics have played out in West Bengal. Now, can we come back to the larger point we were discussing? Rohan Gupta, I'm going to come to you on that point. Can we see now Congress then agree and rally and get together all the other political parties to perhaps, support Mamata Banerjee or any other regional leader? Are you now prepared to do that?
First of all, I'll talk about Bengal issue and come to this issue. The way democracy is under danger under Modi rule, we will have to save that. This is not the fight of individual. This is the fight to save democracy. This is to free people of this country from the shackles of Mr. Modi and his government. And that is the first priority of Congress party. And that's why Congress party had said that for us power is not important. We want to free people of this country from this rule, and for that we should come together and ensure that opposition is united. And the way, if you see Bengal, the way the BJP party has become desperate, this is never seen by India.
Achha.
This is never seen by India, that BJP has become so desperate
Okay, we seem to have lost that line with Rohan Gupta, but I'm going to get back to him in just a bit because he says we all have to come together to save democracy, and he's saying it on a day when Congress is backing TMC and Mamata Banerjee, the same Mamata Banerjee who put behind bars a woman for sharing a meme. Somebody who shared a joke on Mamata Banerjee was sent behind bars, and we are being told that these parties want to come together to save democracy. I don't understand that, frankly. But let me quickly, meanwhile, go across to a viewer who's on the phone line. I believe we've got a caller from Amravati on the phone line. Dr. Hemant, good evening. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, very good evening, Tanvi. I have been patiently waiting to have a turn to speak about it, and all the panelists. Very good evening. I would rather go directly to the core point. The problem is, India is a developing country, number one. Number two, it is such a large, with diversified all kinds of culture, states, everything. And then the election commission. The election commission which doesn't have its own employees. It's like a green tribunal. It's something where every employee is paid by the government. So naturally, the pressure of the government has to be there. But this election commission, I really should be thankful to them. They have really done a wonderful job. But at the end, they did something which they shouldn't have done. And now all about the political parties, all parties are very desperate.
Right.
And Modi ji being in the last phase thought that he might do well in the last seats and all. So whatever, I would like to thank you for bringing up such a wonderful idea now team. And I've been following it all around the week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hemant. Thank you for patiently waiting for your turn. Rohan Gupta, we lost the line with you when you were making a point. I just wanted to also say that you are all coming together to save democracy and backing Mamata Banerjee, in whose state there has been, a massive law and order problem where there has been violence in every phase of election, and she sent a woman to jail for sharing a meme. Are you sure you want to fight this cause in the name of democracy?
Absolutely. I am very clear on my stand.
You think it was democratic to send somebody to jail for a joke?
Become desperate. Across country, no, I am not saying that. I am saying something different. If you see BJP's situation, they are not getting any number of increase in seats as far as other states are concerned. Only 2 states they can desperately try is Orissa and Bengal, and that desperation is visible. When EC denied the permission to Mr. Amit Shah, he holds the rally in Bengal, and their goons vandalize the statue of Vidyasagar ji. Bengal is not going to leave it there. They were so shattered after that, they knew that this issue is going to boomerang. So they used EC and made sure that this rule is imposed at 10 o'clock in night after Mr. Modi's rally. Why it was not before? You tell me. Why 6 to 10 p.m. this was not imposed? Because BJP knows that they are going to be defeated. And I am telling you, after these 2 incidents, they will be wiped out and they will not be able to open their account in West Bengal.
Okay.
And this will have percolating effect as far as UP and
Can I come in, Tanvi?
Yes. The 7th phase election is there.
Yes, Vivek Reddy, your response, and then I will go across to Batsashian. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Yes, I think the Save Democracy campaign, which Mr. Rohan Gupta is talking about, I think democracy must be saved from corruption, which Mr. Modi has done. Democracy must be saved from favoritism, nepotism and family politics, which Mr. Modi has done. Because if you go to Congress, you will find the most ruinous things of family politics there. Then the nation must be made strong. The nation must be made strong. And you find that in what Mr. Modi has done. You want a transformed nation? I think if at all democracy has to survive, you need people like Modi, and you don't need incompetent people, Mr. Rohan Gupta. Underline, in democracy you have every right to ask a question. You don't need incompetent people like your leader. Next question. What about the decision of the election
decide
commission?
Who is incompetent.
Kindly see, Mr. Sen was saying, it is very funny. Mr. Sen was talking about some name-calling representations given by Congress, and they moved the Supreme Court in order to get a relief directing election commission to take a decision.
I did not say Congress.
Now, are you comparing that to the arson, violence, the slaughter and loot in West Bengal?
I did not say Congress.
What are you comparing? Mr. Sen Gupta, hold on. You spoke.
I didn't say Congress.
You
I
spoke.
never
Keep quiet now.
Okay. 1 minute. Let me just 1 minute, Vivek Reddy.
What a cunning way to argue. You are
Don't
saying,
misquote me.
you are
Don't
saying
misquote me.
that the name
This
calling
man-
there is comparable
Anyway,
to what,
forget it.
what has happened
What
in
kind of words
West
he is
Bengal,
using?
and you are saying West Bengal is a overreaction.
Okay,
What
okay,
sort of
Vivek
a-
Reddy,
what
Vivek
sort of a
Reddy, hold
person
on.
you are?
Okay,
Are you responsible
Vivek
for
Reddy,
making
hold
statements?
I
on
did
now.
not
You've
name any
made your
party.
point. Now
Tanvi,
stop
you have
going
to
on
defend
and
me.
on. Vivek Reddy,
What
I will
kind
have
of
to
comment he is
intervene
making?
here.
West Bengal.
And stop
And the
now.
election
Stop.
commission
Okay,
benefits.
you've made your comment. You can't keep going on and on. Please don't force me to intervene like this, where I am the only one whose voice is heard. Now calm down. You have made your point. Clarification number one, at no point did Mr. Bacha Sen say that Congress went to Supreme Court and on their plea this happened. The point that he made was it was only after Supreme Court wrapped the Election Commission that the Election Commission started taking action and censuring the leaders for the comments that they were making. Now, to the point that you have raised, Mr. Bacha Sen, Vivek Reddy says you can't compare words
Well,
and comments
we have
being
given
made.
a complaint against Rahul Gandhi, saying that he has falsely said Chaukidar Chore. Where is the answer to that complaint?
I said, can you tell
Chaukidar
him to
Chore
keep quiet?
complaint of BJP
What is he
against
saying?
Rahul
Now,
Gandhi.
Mr.
No action
Bacha
is
Sen,
taken till date.
Vivek
Keep
Reddy, I
quiet.
am not too
Well,
sure if you're
what is the
interested in
way he is
hearing a
doing
response,
debate, yeah?
but I am going to take your point across
Please
to
answer
Bacha
this.
Sen. Let him
These are very
talk for
uncomfortable
you to go
questions.
on and on. Let him talk, please. And I would really urge our political representatives to show some respect to our panelists over here. This is not your regular assembly parliament debate where you can yell over each other. We like to have a more polite civil debate. Mr. Batsashen, the point that he is largely making is that you can't compare action on speeches versus action when it comes to a violence-related situation.
Tanvi, all I'm trying to say is when there were small actions happening, I never said it was as big as this one. Even then, the election commission wouldn't move. So, when there was a small action, some leader, I'm not, again, please remind Mr. Reddy, I'm not naming which leader it is. As a matter of fact, they were leaders from all the parties. So, the point is that when some leader makes a statement which is against the election code of conduct, the election commission needed to be prodded by the Supreme Court. When it was such minor, even that was minor, but they had to be prodded. Now, in sharp contrast, suddenly the Supreme Court has developed a spine. So I am saying that over a period of time, the Supreme Court, from minor infractions, if you remember that whole party, representative in Faridabad, he was going and pressing the button and working on it. So even there, the media had to push the election commission into action.
No.
However, I've got
How do you say West Bengal reaction is an overreaction?
One more thing.
No.
How do you say West Bengal?
I want to
West
say
Bengal
one more thing.
Interference is an
I
overreaction.
will tell you.
How do you say that, Mr.
The
Bacha?
point remains. I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
I don't have to answer
West
you.
Bengal, you
I
say
have
West
to
Bengal
talk
is
about
overreaction.
what I
Vivek
want
Reddy,
to.
1 minute, please. Vivek Reddy, I think you've completely missed the point here of him. No, 1 minute, Mr. Bacha said. Vivek Reddy, I think you've completely missed the point. It's not about one being underreaction and one being overreaction. It's about the election commission and the way it responds to various situations. Now that you've done, can I be the person who asks questions here? And I have gone across to Bacha Sen now to ask the question on the conversation that I want to have here tonight. And that conversation is about which way are we headed up after the Bengal face-off. Go ahead, Mr. Bacha Sen, you wanted to make a point.
I think that first of all, Tanvi, the one more mistake I think the election commission committed is that they used central security forces when the state government said kindly let some of our officers handle the rapid action force. They were not allowed. So there was no local police handling situations like this. Now, as we all know, that local police inputs are extremely important when you have street scenes like what's happening in West Bengal. All right. So the point is, there was no West Bengal police handling anything. It was the central forces which were doing it. And requests for the election commission to take over the West Bengal police, choose their own officers and put them into the rapid action force. Even that the election commission failed to do. So they had no intelligence in that area. There was nobody to tell them that, look, you have to look at these. They had no ground intelligence. This is one failure on the part of the election commission. No doubt maybe it meant well, but it failed on this count. As far as the larger picture is concerned, obviously this is going to be taken in two ways. The BJP and its allies will point out that this is, if you allow the opposition, particularly people like Mamata Banerjee, to win this election, then all you'll get is vast amounts of violence.
Okay.
On the other side, there will be the opposition saying that if you don't, there will be no democracy.
No, so I have a question for you.
I believe
because
these
we've been having these conversations now for the last 3 days, and obviously there has been an intent to make this the point of conversation, all the drama that has happened. Will this impact the way people really vote? BJP has gone all in before the final phase. Will this really impact what happens on Sunday? Mr. Badshah and then Shikha Mukherjee.
Tanvi, a single swallow does not a summer make, but that gentleman, the viewer who called, he was a fairly sympathetic one, but finally he said the election commission should not have done this, taken this step. And then he seemed to suggest that it will tilt the last phase of the election, perhaps tilt the election against the BJP and Mr. Modi. That's what that viewer said. I think it's a fairly perceptive point. I think, and if we take West Bengal as an example, the Bengalis are, if I may say so, are very chauvinistic characters. They are very, very proud of their icons like Vidyasagar. And I think that in Bengal will probably think twice now, because earlier they seemed to be going fairly strongly in favor of the BJP. Not, of course, BJP seemed to be making inroads, but I think this has shot their bolt.
Okay. Shikha Mukherjee, your response to that as a final comment before we wrap this up. Do you think this could be the turning point now then in West Bengal?
Well, I think West Bengal, the corner has already been turned in West Bengal. But yes, if what happened 2 days ago in the evening, when Vidyasagar's statue was vandalized, has absolutely nailed it for the BJP. No matter who says what, and no matter what investigations reveal, in Bengal, the mood is very clear. This vandalism was done by a party that is not rooted in the culture and the history of West Bengal, where...
Stop playing victim mode, Shikha Mukherjee. Stop playing victim mode. Who has murdered democracy in West Bengal? Who has murdered democracy in West Bengal?
I think he should not speak like this.
All this arson and outrage?
Please have some manners, Mr.
Who has murdered democracy?
Okay, I'm completely out of time, but Mr. Vivek Reddy, 1 minute please, I'm completely out of time. And this is really no way to have a debate. Mr. Vivek Reddy, if you will just listen to what others have to say, I just want to point out, please look at some of the comments that our viewers have left on Involve. They're all very upset with the way you've attempted to derail this whole conversation, because honestly, people who come to watch Mirror Now would like to have a more civilized debate where everybody gets to have a word. I'm just going to wrap it on that note. Thank you to all of our panelists for joining us. The fact of the matter here is that we've come to a fiery end to the battle for West Bengal in the final phase. Now, it remains to be seen whether the last round of rallies, whether the whole fight over Election Commission's decision, whether the violence and the vandalism and the bitter war of words, whether Mamata Banerjee's Padyatra, any of that is really going to make a difference to the way the last 9 constituencies of West Bengal vote. But what it can do is irk all opposition parties enough to remind them that they really need to come together if they want to stop the BJP. And if that happens and they all come on the same page to rally behind one person, then maybe things will be interesting to watch out for post May 23rd. This may not be the turning point for 2019 elections. We'll have to wait and watch, but it's definitely been an interesting set of 48 hours. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of The Last Word.